Hey guys, so today I'll be hosting my Roblox Development webinar on the topic of how to become a Roblox developer. So in this webinar, I'll be covering four main concepts. In the first section, I'll be talking about me, so more about my personal Roblox development journey. Second section is going to be about Roblox development, so I'll be going into the technicalities of the Roblox engine. Third section is how to become a Roblox developer. So I'll be telling you guys some steps needed to become a Roblox developer. And the fourth and final section will be some final takeaways that you guys can keep in mind as you move forward from this webinar. So about me. So this section, as I said earlier, is going to talk about my personal Roblox developer journey. So yeah, about me, my experience. So currently I am a university student and a teacher at BCC. In university, I am a game development undergraduate, which is super cool that they have that program. And I also enjoy playing games on Roblox and off Roblox. Some of these games you guys might know. Arsenal is an FPS, Anime Fighters is like a simulator type of game, and League of Legends is a MOBA, which is off Roblox, made by Riot Games. And continued. So currently I am a Lua gameplay programmer. I have worked on a few games in the past, most notably Gemology, Arcane Dungeons Online, and a little game jam game that I worked on with a friend called Zombie Mayhem, or MZM for short. And I'm currently actually starting work at Dubit, which is a pretty cool Roblox contracted game company. So I'll be looking forward to that. And yeah, so here are some videos of projects that I've worked on. So I'm gonna quickly switch screens into my YouTube. And as you guys can see, I have a couple of videos, but for the sake of time for this webinar, I'll be only showing you guys two of my main videos. And the first one is called Arcane Dungeons. This game is, to give you guys a summary, is a dungeon crawler RPG MMO, which is pretty cool. I can just start the video here. It's a little quiet, but yeah, so my group that I made it with is called Skyridge Entertainment, and we got a cool little title screen going on here. But I think I click and we go on to the character creation. There we go. So as you guys can see here, I have a couple options when designing my character. I have hair, brow, mouth, facial, eye, and obviously your clothes selection and skin colors. There is also a randomized character button here that does work, but I'm not sure if I go through that in this video. So let's move on to the Hazel Falls Town Exploration is what the town is called. Cool little small town here. A lot of low poly style going on. And yeah, so you guys can talk to NPCs and they do have a little chat bubbles from sometimes. And yeah, so I think we talk to this guy, we explore a little bit more. Yep. And let's move on to the dungeon lobby. So I think I create a dungeon lobby here. And basically, if you guys have played dungeon games, this is pretty kind of a staple in those games. There's often a party leader and your friends kind of just join up. As you guys can see here, I have two friends that are joining up and we're all level 1. So hopefully this doesn't go wrong. But yeah, so we start a lobby and we load in and teleport to the dungeon, Amber Grove Dungeon. And yeah, this is the loading kind of area for all players to load in. And then we kind of just zoom into the gameplay. So we run in and as you guys can see, the mobs have health and we also damage them with our swords and they also have hitboxes. So this is pretty basic combat, I would say, pretty linear. So, oh yeah, they also drop some emeralds that you guys can pick up. And let's move on to the boss battle actually. So this is the boss battle. It's really loud. Okay. So yeah, so we're fighting the boss here. He has this really cool smash attack, and we're all kind of just gang up on him. Should be a piece of cake, but yeah. So that's pretty much the game here. You join a dungeon, fight mobs, and then you fight the boss. Pretty simple. All right. So now I'm going to move on to my second game. It's a more lighthearted game. It's called Gemology, and it's kind of a mining simulator type of game where you kind of just mine gems, you craft them into jewelry, and you sell them at your store. Yeah, so I show the leaderboards here, and let's move on, I guess. So we're mining gems. So each gem has its own health bar, as you guys can see. And yeah, you kind of just click them to mine them. So I can click, I think I'm just mainly clicking the crystals here, but you guys can click the other crystals as well, or gems. Yep, so I'm mining crystals, and I'm gonna move on here actually, because I think I mined for a while. Yeah, I mined for a while. So I think I get, oh, inventory is full. Yep, so my max inventory is 10, and I do have exactly 10 in my inventory. And as you can see, I'm showing you guys the rarity sort. Obviously, our inventory isn't that dynamic right now, but the sort system does work. And we move on to the refinery. So before you craft it into jewelry, you have to refine your gems, and I show that really quickly. And you guys can see that the gems have turned into kind of like these more refined design. And I craft them into crystal rings. And then I don't have enough for the ruby ring because I only had one ruby crystal, as you can see here. And you need 2 to craft the ring. So moving on to the selling jewelry part, you just click all the jewelry you want to sell, and then you just click sell. And it's kind of like a tycoon game where you kind of have to wait, as you guys can see. Gems sold in 40 seconds, 35 seconds. And yeah, you just kind of have to wait for your gems to sell. And I think I do a little time skip here, and you guys can see that my money gain is here. And I step on it to claim it. Awesome. So yeah, so this is a chest unboxing system, because what kind of game doesn't have that nowadays? Gotta have some unboxing. So I got like an uncommon pickaxe, and then I got a common pickaxe. Got another uncommon pickaxe. Awesome. And then we have eggs as well for pets. Whoa, an epic. Okay, that's pretty good actually. But yeah, oh, common bunny, nice. And yeah, there's also an enchanting system where you can enchant pickaxes by kind of destroying other pickaxes. So I destroy these 3 and I level up my uncommon one. Cool. So also pet system, as you guys can see, I'm equipped my pet, my epic cow. Yep, there we go. And I can equip 2 as well. Awesome. So yeah, that is pretty much gemology. And as you guys can see, I still have a couple more videos that I like to show you. But for the sake of time, I only showed you those 2. So let's get back into the webinar.
What is Roblox Development? So this will be more of a technical section where I talk to you guys about the Roblox engine. Yeah, it's be more technical. We're not going to move on to like how to become a Roblox developer yet. We're going to be more touching upon what is development on Roblox like. So what is Roblox Development? An overview. So Roblox games are made using Roblox Studio, lo and behold. But yeah, ever since Roblox came out, they released their own engine, and basically developers would use Roblox Studio to make games on Roblox and publish it on Roblox, which is a cool little ecosystem to have going on, which I think is super cool and unique to Roblox, definitely. But next point is it's a very simple and easy to use game engine. So I would say Roblox Studio is one of the more simpler game engines to use. The interface is very, very beginner friendly, and there are many things you can do on Roblox Studio without too much knowledge in like the technical degree of things. So Roblox Studio is definitely one of the easier game engines that most people, at least in a younger audience, should be able to pick up. Well, when compared to like other game engines like Unreal or Unity, Roblox Studio definitely has an edge in simplicity in that aspect. Yeah, so Roblox Studio only uses Lua as its language of choice for coding. No CS, no HTML, no Python, no C++, C#. It only uses Lua. So if you guys want to code on Roblox, you gotta know Lua. It helps to know other languages though, of course, but you guys must learn the Lua syntax. And next, continued, we have engine is very diverse and flexible. So Roblox Studio is known to have, Roblox itself is known to have many different types of games. There is like first person, 2D, 3D, strategy, like I said earlier, first person shooter. There's like MMOs, there's like role play games, like town and city games. So those are really cool because it really just ends up your creativity being the limit of what games you make on Roblox, which I think is super cool and awesome for a game engine to have that. And next point, we have new features rolling out each month. So Roblox Studio is always up to date. They're always looking in the developer community and seeing what they need and what could help them with the development of their games. So actually recently, Roblox Studio came out with layered clothing. So basically what this was you would have 3D modeled clothing and they would fit based on the avatar of choice. So as you can see in the picture we have down below, we have two clothing, which is just one piece of clothing, a jacket, a shirt, a skirt, and some boots. And they fit perfectly two different sized avatars. So this is more like a one size fits all, which I think is super cool for developers like me to pick up because when we make clothing in our game, we don't want to make multiple clothing for different types of avatar sizes. We want like a one size fits all kind of feature, which is what they released. So they definitely listened to us. Some developers make a living off of Roblox. So this might be a surprise, but yes, you can earn money making games on Roblox, and it is why a lot of developers actually make games on Roblox is because the money you can get is a pretty substantial amount based on how many players you get, of course. But now we look at some numbers here. In our next slide here, we have 40 million total Roblox games on Roblox. And we have 150 million daily users on Roblox as well. That's a lot of players that could be playing many games at once. And finally, we have $129 million in USD earned from developers in 2021. That's a lot of money to be earning from making Roblox games. And that's why a lot of developers actually make a living off of Roblox. And there's actually more corporations and companies now kind of edging their way into Roblox development because you can honestly make a lot of revenue from it. And yeah, answered, but I'll be moving on now. So this will be more of the meat of the presentation. I'll be touching on the main concepts of how to actually become a Roblox developer. So the steps in becoming a developer. Again, guys, these are just ideas you should keep in mind when you are trying to become a Roblox developer. So yeah, things to keep in mind. So our first point is start with smaller projects / games. So this is a pretty important point to keep in mind because many game developers, they come into Roblox Studio and want to make the best game ever the first time they step into the game engine, which is not what you want. You want to start with smaller projects and work your way up to more complex projects as time goes on. Because if you start off with a really crazy idea that you want to do, then most likely you'll run into a lot of problems and a lot of obstacles. Like if you want to code a gun, for example, but you have never touched a game engine ever, it's going to be a little hard. A gun is more of the complex side of things with like the bullet moving, there's like physics with the bullet moving. There's like particles that you need to have. You need to like weld the gun into the player's arm. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind when developing more ambitious projects. So definitely start with smaller projects, work your way up there. And this way you can learn more at your own pace, I would say. And also have have more smaller games and that you can show your friends and family in like gatherings or hangouts. You can be like, wow, I have like 5 different games I can show you. That's super cool. I have 3 hobbies and like 2 like little story games, like simulator games or something. So definitely start with like a smaller type of concept idea. And yeah, work your way into more ambitious projects, definitely. All right, so our next point here, we have progress takes time. So this is very, very important. Success and you being like this master Roblox developer does not come overnight. You have to slowly work your way up there and gradually get the experience, gradually get knowledge in order to get to where you want to be. Another really important thing is that your first game may not be the best. So my first game was definitely not the best. It was very buggy, very hacky. Nothing was working. So definitely keep in mind that your first game may not be the best. Your second, your third may not be your best, but eventually you will make a game that you really enjoy, that you proudly can show your parents, your friends, and that will be where you want to get to. So again, progress takes time, and you just want to slowly work your way up there, be consistent, be motivated, which is one of my points later on, actually. So I won't go into too in depth in that topic, but yeah, just know that your first game may not be the best, and don't let that demotivate you. You'll get to where you are if you put the time into it, for sure. Yeah, so we have our third point, which is using the Roblox Toolbox library. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, Roblox Toolbox library, but yes, it is important to use the Roblox, I'll just call it the toolbox. It's important to use the toolbox library in Roblox, because this way you can just take some models or maybe some systems that you want in your game. You can just take it and put it into your game, especially when you're starting off. It is hard to do everything yourself. So it's important to kind of just play around with the toolbox, see what you can put together and to make into a game. So for example, one of my first games was I literally just got like a happy house, which is like a house in the toolbox. I put it into my game, and then I got a sword and I put it into the starter pack for the player. And the whole point of the game was that you just run into people's houses and you would just slash them with your sword. Does not really sound fun on paper. And it was a little bit buggy, obviously. There were some unanchored parts here and there, but yeah, so that kind of goes again with my second point, which is your first game and not be the best. So my first game was definitely not my best. I just took some free models, put it together, and yeah, it wasn't the best, but it was still a game, and it was still something I showed my friends and family at the time. So that's what you guys want to keep in mind, is that your games get better over time, and as long as you're improving, that is what matters. So continued with our steps here, we have joined the developer community. So joining the developer community is very, very important. You can join the developer community to talk with other developers, connect with them, ask questions, and just get more ideas in general. So one of my main sources of developer community is through the dev forums, which is some of you might know, or through Discord groups. But I mainly use the dev forums because it is officially run by Roblox. So it is more likely to have someone that is more knowledgeable to answer you on that platform. So yeah, guys, like just connect with other developers. You can learn a lot from them. In fact, if you just want to like chill and just like talk about your day with some developers, you can do that as well. Honestly, it's just a really cool community to kind of be in. You can like even like showcase some of your coding, showcase some of your builds, your creations, which is something I used to do, which is super cool. And yeah, especially the question part though, because I remember I had a lot of coding questions because I was like wanting to become a coder on Roblox, right? On Roblox Developer. I really wanted to become a coder. So I had a lot of questions when I was trying to code certain systems. Even in Arcane Dungeons, as you saw earlier, I had a bunch of questions I had to ask the developer community. And they all answered me pretty responsively and pretty knowledgeably. So I would say the developer community or the dev forums is a really great place to start if you want to join the developer community. There are many more like Discords, as I mentioned, but those are more unofficial. So if you want to just play it safe, you know, just have a strict official community, I would say the dev forums is the way to go. So next we have, you don't need anything to start. So this might be a bit of an overstatement. Obviously, you need a keyboard, mouse, a computer, Roblox Studio downloaded, and Wi-Fi. But those are the only things you need to start a game. So some developers or some people that are starting off might think that they need, oh, I need Robux for this game, or oh, I need more people working on this game with me, or else I can't make it. It's impossible. Or I need more money. Well, turns out you don't. Those will definitely help you develop your game and make it better. But I would say you definitely don't need those to start. You can definitely just start by yourself. That's how I started. That's probably how most people started. Although money, Robux, a huge team does help you in the long run. But when you're starting off, you don't really have the luxury for that. So you kind of have to stick with what you have. And honestly, I think that's a better way to learn, because this way you have to learn more things. You have to touch upon different systems on Roblox. For example, since I was a coder in the beginning, I had to learn how to build. I had to learn how to animate. I had to learn how to do some graphic for some thumbnails, right? So that's really good key skills to have when you try to become a Roblox developer. And I wouldn't take it back for the world. To start from the beginning, I would definitely say starting by yourself, solo, is still a great way to start. Yeah, so moving on, we have find out what your developing specialty is. So obviously, it is important to play to your strengths. And in that case, you have to find what role in the Roblox developer community that you kind of want to specialize in. So there are many roles when making a game. There's the builder, there's like the 3D modeler, coder, graphic designer, audio designer, environmental design, game design, a lot of design, but you can see where I'm going with this. There are a lot of roles on Roblox when you're in a team on Roblox, and you just have to find what your strength is. You have to find what you enjoy doing. You know, like if you enjoy building, then you can build. If you enjoy animating, you can animate. If you enjoy doing graphic design, maybe you're more of an art person. There's a role for that as well. So definitely find out what your developing specialty is. You can specialize in multiple roles. I specifically only specialize in one role. If you specialize in multiple roles, good for you. But personally, I just really enjoy coding. So that's what I've been doing. And actually, the funny thing is that when I started off, I was coding, I think in my first year. And I actually moved into some building. So I started off with some coding, and I slowly moved into building because I felt like coding was too hard. Like there's too many lines. I have to learn too much like words. I have to learn too much like syntax, right? It was too much for me. So I didn't want to learn it at the time. So I did something more like simple, I guess, in my mind. I thought it was cooler to just start building stuff. So I built for a team in the past, I think, for like an anime game. It was a pretty simple anime fighting game. I just made like simple maps that they needed. And yeah, after like a few months, I was like, okay, this is not fulfilling enough. And then I went back to coding, which is kind of funny. So, and I just continued coding from there. And I realized that if you put the time and you start learning all the words, all the syntax in Lua, it actually isn't that hard. So, and it started being more fun for me than building. So I definitely think you guys should touch on each category of developing, like different roles, maybe like do a little bit of graphic, animating, a little bit of coding, and then see what you guys enjoy the most. You know, like it's good to like know a lot and then just see what you enjoy. Yeah, see what your strengths are, and you can play towards it. So I'll be moving on here. Yeah, so I think this is the final few points I'm going to talk about. So here we have join events, contests, and game jams. So this is really important. I know I'm saying a lot of points are important, but honestly, it's very important just to keep in mind when you're trying to become a Roblox developer is join events, contests, and game jams. So events and contests and game jams are usually hosted by Roblox themselves. Some smaller like Discord game development communities might host their own events, contests, and game jams. But I personally just do the official game jams hosted by Roblox. And I find that a really good way to kind of evaluate yourself based on your game compared to other people. So you can see what you need to improve on, and you can see what you're already good at. So I made a few game jams in the past with a couple friends of mine, and we never really got to the top place, obviously. And I honestly feel like that's not the point of a game jam. Like, the point of the game jam is to kind of just make a game within like a time period, a set amount of time, and then just see like just try your best and see at the very end what you can improve on and what you did well. I think it's a great way to evaluate yourself with game jams. And when talking about events and contests, I guess, events in particular, there is the RDC every year, which is called the Roblox Developer Conference. And this is an event that kind of, Dave Baszucki, which is the CEO of Roblox, he kind of just talks about moving forward and like the stuff they want to focus on and roadmaps that they may have. So I think it's a cool event to kind of just join in maybe once in a while. Obviously, you don't have to watch the whole thing. I know the whole thing is pretty long. It's a conference. It's pretty long. It's a lot of hours. So I personally don't watch the whole thing. I just watched like snippets part of it. And I really think it's really cool just to know what Roblox themselves are working on to improve the developing platform. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. And yeah, so our next point will be always be consistent and motivated. So this is really important to keep in mind. I think I talked about this earlier, but yeah, always be consistent, always be motivated. You don't want to like work on something, drop it for like a whole month and then never come back to it. That's not what you want. You want to at least try your best to finish a game. I know myself, I dropped many games in the past. I felt like I just didn't want to work on it anymore. And that is something that I would take back if I were to go back as when I was first starting off. I would just keep working at a game that I was working on, and I would just work on it until I was done. I think that's the most important part. Just try to finish a game. Try to be consistent, motivated, and try to finish a game. I think that's the most important part. Many developers fall short because they just don't finish a game in general. They like finish half the game. They finish 75% of the game. They finish like 25% of the game. They never finish 100% of the game or whatever idea they had in mind at the very beginning. So definitely be consistent, be motivated, and make some games. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say. So our last point here is remember to take breaks. So this is kind of a counterpoint to what I just said, but it is actually very important to take breaks because when you work on something for too long, you tend to burn out, you tend to like lose motivation, and taking breaks is very important in developing because we don't work 24 hours. I think it's a terrible way to work. In fact, I don't think anyone works 24 hours. So it's important to take breaks from time to time. If you're working on a system and you can't figure out how to do it, you can come back to it later. Or you're working on like a 3D model, and maybe you're making a sword, right? I know a lot of games have swords, so maybe you're making a sword and you don't know what to put at the handle, like you don't know what design you should put on the handle. Then maybe you should come back to it later, maybe an hour later, you can come back to it and work on it. It's just important that you always come back to it. Always be consistent and always motivate yourself that you always come back to it and finish whatever you're doing. So breaks are important, but always make sure that you always come back and finish the job. So that is definitely the most important part. All right, so now we're going to be moving on to the conclusion. Final takeaways from the webinar. So this section will just be talking about just some final ideas that you guys should keep in mind if you guys are interested in becoming a Roblox developer. And I will be talking about it here. So final takeaways is that success is not guaranteed. As you guys saw before, there are 40 million games on Roblox. Not all of them are successful, but many of them still do generate revenue for the developer. But I just want you guys to know that although success is not guaranteed, that should not demotivate anyone in making games. Because I honestly feel like anyone, if they put the time and effort into it, they will be able to make a game that they'll be proud of and hopefully generate revenue. I personally have generated myself a decent amount of revenue over the years on making my games. So I hope that will be for you guys as well. Just remember to put time, effort, and make the game the best as you can make it. Yeah. So next point is you can always learn and improve. So learning and improving is always something I always have in mind when moving forward on my projects. Because honestly, I feel like you can never learn enough and you can never improve enough. There are always things that you can kind of improve my work at. So for example, I'm coding, maybe the organization can be better. Maybe I can use less lines here. Maybe I can use less scripts here, you know? It's all about being improving yourself, making yourself better as you move on from game to game, project to project, idea to idea. Always try to improve yourself and learn more about developing. And finally, we have start now. So honestly, starting now is a lot better. If you decide to become a Roblox developer, I think starting now is definitely the best way to start. I use start a lot, but yeah. Starting now is important because then you get like you can get your foot in the door a lot quicker than other developers and kind of just like see what Roblox developing is like. Maybe you might not like it. Maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe you really like it. Maybe you really want to become a Roblox developer. So I think just getting your foot in the door, kind of just seeing what development is like on Roblox is important and definitely something you should keep in mind after this webinar.